Hey, how's it going? My name's Andy Monroe and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about 7 ways to enhance the experience at your live events. Now, in my opinion, enhancing the experience of your live events is probably the most important job you have as an event planner. Yes, there's a lot of logistical things that you have to take care of as an event planner. Experience, it's what causes them to have a good time or a bad time at your event, and it's what makes them remember your event or forget it forever. When I think of myself as an event planner, I don't think of myself as planning events or creating events. I think of myself as an experience creator. I'm creating experiences for people. So with that logic, understanding how to enhance those experiences is what you should be focusing most of your energy into. Enough rambling, let's get into it. The first way to enhance the experience of your events I want to talk about is simply meeting expectations. Now this might seem pretty straightforward. However, you'd be surprised how many events don't meet the expectations of their attendees or of the people that purchase tickets to go to that event. I once went to an event that promised me amazing keynote presentations from some of the best speakers in the world. However, when I got there and I was actually at the event, they delivered the speakers. However, they were extremely boring Q&As with a terrible moderator, and it felt more like a show for entertainment rather than somebody up there trying to deliver value. Even though they delivered on the promise of having the speakers present, they did not deliver on those speakers delivering powerful, actionable keynote presentations. And I talked to a lot of other people that attended the event, and everybody was equally as disappointed. When you don't meet expectations, that's where disappointment is created and that's where trust is broken. And this doesn't just apply to events, this applies to everything. When you establish expectations and you don't meet them, you're gonna disappoint the person you promised those expectations to. For example, in a relationship, if the expectation in that relationship is that you are both gonna be loyal to each other, however, one partner decides to go and not be loyal with someone else, that expectation is not met and that's where trust is broken and one partner is left disappointed. So when you are promising your clients or attendees something, make sure you deliver on that promise and meet expectations at the event, because you don't want to be the event or the brand that is known for not meeting expectations and breaking that trust with your audience, because that is a really deep hole to dig yourself out of. The second way to enhance the experience of your live events is to communicate properly with your attendees. Now this is something that I've had to work on as an event planner, getting all of the proper information out to my attendees well before the event, giving them plenty of time to read the information and digest the information, because in my head, I'm the one planning the event and everything makes sense to me. And I think that it's intuitive. However, I have to remember that my attendees are not the ones planning the event. And in most cases, this is their first time interacting with my company and the brand. So I need to communicate all of the details effectively and within a good time frame of when they receive the information and when the event starts. And of course, you have to find a balance between this. You don't want to be sending people all of the information about the event 6 months in advance because they're going to forget about it. However, you don't want to be sending the information out a week in advance because that's not going to be enough time for them to digest the information and they're most likely going to show up confused when they get to the event. Typically, I like to get high-level general information out as soon as I can. So once I establish dates, once I find a venue, and once we get our headline speakers, I like to announce that information when we make the event available for purchase or for RSVP. However, when it comes to the itinerary and the actual activities that are going on during the event, I'll typically wait until 2 weeks out from the event to send out a high-level itinerary. However, being completely transparent, I have received some feedback from attendees that is not enough time between when they receive the information and when the event started. So for future events, I'm actually gonna try out sending high-level itineraries well before the event, maybe even a month out. So in summary, effectively communicating with your attendees will really enhance the experience of your events. Number 3 is your staff. The people that you have working at your event are gonna be the ones interacting with your clients the most, besides the clients interacting amongst each other. So it's extremely important that you have staff that brings the energy that you're looking for and is very friendly and helpful to your attendees. With the staff being a major touch point, if you have someone who's grumpy or if you have someone who doesn't have any information or someone who doesn't want to help out a client, that's really going to decrease the quality of the experience that attendee has. And they're gonna go out and they're gonna talk to other attendees and talk to other people and say that the people running this event are jerks, they're not nice, they're mean, and they don't have good energy. I am extremely blessed with the team that I have to help run my events. And ever since the first event we ever threw, the number one piece of feedback we've ever gotten is that you guys have an amazing team who has great energy, they're super helpful, and they're just fun to be around. And that makes the experience 10 times better for our attendees. Now, it's much easier to monitor and manage the quality quality of people you have working at your event that actually work for you. However, if you need to outsource or hire external labor, you need to really do your due diligence on the people that you're hiring so that you don't accidentally hire somebody who's going to throw off the energy and the flow of your event. Take your time selecting the people that are going to be delivering this experience to your attendees, because I promise that'll make or break the experience that they have. Number 4 is framing. Now this kind of ties into meeting expectations. However, I want to make it its own segment because of how important it is. You need to establish proper framing for your attendees before they come into the event. For example, at a lot of our events, the goal and the objective is to teach emerging managers how to launch and scale investment funds. So we want them to come in with that framing, ready to learn how to launch and scale investment funds. There was this one event that I attended that had a lot of amazing speakers and they all delivered a lot of great value. However, when I got done and I walked out of the convention center, I was left kind of confused because I didn't really understand what I was supposed to take away from the event. Yes, all of these individuals were great and they delivered some good gold nuggets. However, there was no framing before the event of what I was supposed to be getting out of the event. And there was no story being told. And I believe that I missed out on a lot of value as an attendee by not being properly framed going into the event. This is also important when it comes to the type of event that you're throwing. For our fulfillment events, we throw 2 types of events each year. One is a workshop and one is a more exotic vacation style. And we make sure that the frame of those events is well known well before the event starts. And we really make sure that the framing of these 2 events is known by the people that are going to be attending. At the workshop, it's going to be 8 to 10 hours of work every single day where you're diving into your projects, diving into your funds, and doing a lot of group work. And you're going to be absolutely exhausted when the event is done. However, for the vacation style event, we make it known that there's gonna be a lot of fun, a lot of play, a lot of networking with a very small focus on sessions and actually doing a lot of hands-on work. If that was flip-flopped and people came into our vacation style event expecting a workshop, they'd be extremely disappointed. So that's where the meeting expectations kind of ties in. However, it really is framing your attendee before they come to the event. Number 5 is creating moments of impact. Now, when I say a moment of impact, I mean creating events within your event that people will remember a couple months from now, a couple years from now, or even their entire life. It's really hard to break this down into a framework, so I'm just gonna use an example. At our last event, we had someone speak on our stage named Ed Milet, and he's one of the most famous motivational speakers in the entire world. However, I didn't actually know how powerful his message was until I saw him speak on our stage. We had him on for a 90-minute keynote, and for that entire 90 minutes, he had the entire room in the palm of his hand. He had people laughing, he had people crying, he had people reflecting, he had people talking to each other, he had people bonding over this experience of heightened emotion all together, all 2,000 people that were at this event. And that was a moment of impact. That's something that people are gonna remember for the rest of their lives. They're gonna remember crying next to random people they've never met, reflecting on their entire lives while listening to some man speak on the stage. When you're creating these moments of impact, it's important to make them centered around emotion. It's good to deliver value. It's good to deliver actionable things people can go and take and apply to their businesses or projects or whatever you're teaching them about. However, when they look back on your event, they're most likely gonna remember the moments where their emotions and their senses were heightened. So keep that in mind when you're creating these moments of impact at your events. Number 6 is telling a story. Now, in my opinion, telling a story at your event and through your event is what separates great events from all the rest. And someone who does this in such an amazing way is Russell Brunson with Funnel Hacking Live. At this last event that I actually went and attended, the entire event was one big story. At this event, Russell got on stage and told everybody, I'm going to be teaching you about X framework. And for the rest of the event, every single day, every single speaker slowly walked through that entire framework in chronological order. And before and after every single speaker, Russell would have a video play on stage that summarized what one speaker just talked about and how it led into what the next speaker was going to talk about. And I found myself being extremely captivated the entire time. And when I left the event, I actually knew exactly what I needed to go out and do because it was told in a very smooth and simple story that flowed. An amazing way to captivate your audience and keep them engaged is to tell a story throughout your event. All right, for number 7, and what I think most event planners spend most of their time doing, and that is putting out fires and keeping them hidden from the public. Now, when I say putting out fires, what I mean is solving problems. At an event, it is inevitable that problems are going to pop up. And your ability to solve those problems without letting them break the flow of the event is going to either increase or decrease the quality of the experience that your attendees are having. And like I've done with a few of these, I'm just going to explain this one with a story. At the first event I ever threw, we had about 1,200 people in the room. And a lot of people came and were very excited for this one speaker to go on stage. And about an hour before that speaker was supposed to go on stage, they came up to me and said that they actually weren't going to be able to speak unless we switched a few things around in the order of speakers. They were about to fly out on a vacation and they had to go get a COVID test before they went to the airport, which meant they had to go on stage sooner rather than later. And they straight up told me that if they were going to speak at the time that I assigned them to speak, they weren't going to be able to do it. And for the next 20 minutes, as we tried to figure out what to do, the scene of 1,200 people being extremely disappointed because the speaker that we promised to have speak on our stage actually didn't speak kept replaying in my head, and I was terrified. However, I worked with my team and we were actually able to make it work and get the person on stage without breaking the flow of the event. And even though that was one of the most stressful moments of my entire life, not a single person in the crowd knew what happened. And their event experience was not affected at all. And this happens all the time. At these events that I'm planning and hosting, there's always fires going on that I'm putting out behind the scenes that don't break the flow of the event, and they actually protect the flow of the event because that problem is being solved. So if you want to enhance the experience of your events, make sure you are solving problems and putting out fires without letting them bleed into the event and breaking the flow. Now, of course, there's more than 7 ways to enhance the experience of your live events. However, that's all I'm going to cover in today's video. But if you want to learn more about enhancing experiences, you should go and read a book called Designing Experiences. That book is what inspired this video and got the juices flowing of how I like to enhance the experience of my events. But in that book, they dive into a lot of the stuff that I just talked about and expand on it in much greater detail. The 2 people that wrote that book are absolute masters when it comes to experiences, and I would highly recommend you read it. I'll drop a link down in the description. All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.